Hi, today I'm going to be walking you through the Breakout box, Wondering About Water from Kansas Corn Stem. I'm Jessica Sadler, and I'm a 6th grade science teacher and lead teacher for Kansas Corn Stem. Today, we're going to be completing the physical breakout box, Wondering About Water. Let's get started. If you've never done a breakout box before, it's a really great idea to use the hint cards that are provided in your kit. I like to give these to students who may need a little extra assistance staying engaged for the duration of the breakout box. You pass them out. When the groups decide they want to use a hint, those students are responsible for turning in the clue to get the hint that they need to continue. It's a really nice way to keep everybody involved. The next thing that you're going to want to do is begin the breakout by reading the provided story within the lesson. For myself, after I'm complete with the story, that's when I start the timer, usually 30 to 45 minutes, depending on your class period. The story for Wondering About Water begins like this. Drip, drip, drip. Your faucet just woke you up. You consider getting up to turn it off, yet you decide that a small drip isn't going to do much. Later in the day, while sitting in class, your teacher announces a local farmer will be coming in as a guest speaker. As you listen to the farmer talk about all the ways they conserve water and test its qualities, you feel a little guilty about the dripping sink. You've decided to learn more about sustainable farming practices related to water and how water, or lack of, can seriously affect crops. If you're ready to test your water knowledge, let's begin. First, we're going to talk about the shape block. For students to complete this, they're going to want to use this pre-made QR code. This can be placed wherever you'd like in the room. It can be next to the diagram that's going to be used with it, or if you want to add an extra challenge, you can hide it somewhere else, whatever works best for you. When students scan the QR code, it's compatible with iPhones, Android phones. You can use it on your tablet. If you have PC products or Windows, there are many, many free QR readers available that you can just use from the web, ready to go. When they scan this, it's going to take them to a NASA website that will pull up a version of the water cycle. This image is now a still image due to the pausing of Adobe Flash. Ideally, they'll bring it back up later, but it still covers all the materials that you'll need. Students will then use these small pieces, which you can again hide or leave next to it. It's up to you. They are trimmed out in orange as well as on the paper, so it gives them a pretty good idea, if you do separate them, where these are supposed to go back to. Students will place them in the boxes where they belong, following the water cycle. Once they've been placed in the correct boxes, they will discover that the key to the lock is triangle, star, right arrow, circle, and square. Normally on these locks, I suggest adding a piece of some kind of colored tape or pattern. It doesn't really matter, but as you can see, this has a silver marking on it. Sometimes the students need a little bit more reference point for where to begin putting in the code. They can have the code right, but if they don't start it on the right side, the lock won't open, which might cause them to change their answer or become frustrated. These locks are also really helpful if you give them a little push and a tug. Sometimes they can stick, but when you follow that method, they usually come right off and you can move on to the next one. The next clue we're going to talk about is the water quality worksheet. This is going to take off the 3-digit lock that'll be attached to the main box. You'll want to prompt your students, especially if this is their first breakout, that they need to enter the numbers in these circles that are here on the side. It's really natural for them to want to start to put it in on the flat sides, and they can have the answer right, but it won't open, which might cause them to change their answer or get frustrated. You will want to put your students in 3 groups. The group size doesn't really matter. You could give this worksheet to each 3 individual students, to groups of 2. It's really your choice. When we look at this, you will print the copy exactly the same for all 3 groups. Students will work to answer the questions that are listed here, reading the information from the top. Here's what it'll look like when it's complete. As students complete the worksheet, Whichever group finishes and comes to you first, you will give them the first number card clue. This one happens to be a 9. The next group that finishes will come to you with the same sheet. You're able to check it. If it is again correct, you will give them the second number card clue, which is a 3. And then your last group, when they have completed and come to you, you'll double check their answers as well and give them the final card, which is a 2. When they answer 9, 3, 2 into the lock, it should come right off of the main box and they can move on. Next, we're going to talk about the letter lock. You are going to need these Instagram style postcards. There are 5 of them. And you're also going to want to have the main profile looking page. These don't need to be cut apart. If you really wanted to, you could, or you can leave it as a solid piece like this and place it wherever you prefer. Students will need to find all 5 of the cards. I like to hide mine for classes that need a little more challenge, or again, you can leave them all together. Once students have collected them, they will be looking at the various conservation practices, drought-tolerant crops, soil management conservation tillage, irrigation scheduling, irrigation segmentation, and cover crops. The definitions have been put into this main profile page with a number added to them. What they'll need to do is sort these into where they belong, starting with S, then going to F, E, L, and B. When they have these correctly placed, they'll notice that the definition matches the management practice. This is the order that they'll need to enter it into the lock, being S, F, E, L, and B. Okay. Then we have the 4-digit lock. To do this, students are going to either need to type in the website above, or it's easiest to use the QR code reader if you have those capabilities. Once it has been scanned, it's going to take you to K-State's Precipitation by County website. When you are there, your students must pick Rice County, and it has been bolded for them right here as well. They are also going to need to change the tab at the top to yearly. If you have a group of students who require a little more challenge, you may not want to tell them that right away. See if they can figure that out on their own. If you think your students need that prompt, it's more than okay to tell them that up front. Once they've found Rice County and changed the tab to the yearly, they are going to be looking up the rainfall for Rice County for the last 5 years during the month of June. Again, this is bolded for them. They will look up for 2017, 16, 15, 14, and 13, and then they will average those totals together, meaning they will add them and then divide by 5. Their answer sheet should look something like this: 26.4, 33.1, 28.6, 27.1, 39.2. When these have been added together and divided, they'll come up with an answer of 30.88 inches, which will be what goes in the lock, 3088. Obviously no decimal. Again, this is the same as the smaller lock. You'll want to prompt them to use the circle arrows, not the flat sides. And then there are a couple varieties for how you can do this particular clue. We've got a water risk map. This is going to be talking to them about the Ogalla Aquifer. When you look at this one, you have this particular map. When this code is scanned, they will be taken to an excellent video where they learn a little bit more about the aquifer. On this paper, using invisible ink, you will give them a clue as to where the key is hidden. You can also do something like this. I like to put these near each other. You're almost done. Take this to your teacher for the key to your reward. What happens is they would watch the video. I make the reward the black light and I hold on to it. So they must watch the video. Then they bring this to me and I ask them questions of something they should have gained from the video. If they can answer me, this is their key because now they can see the black lit ink. If they're unsure, I usually give them a second question. If it's still not quite where we need it to be, I prompt them to go back and watch the video again. You could also choose to have the flashlight just hidden amongst the room and not use this step. It's really up to you. Okay. And then the last key with this particular box, the small clue box is technically not required. What I sometimes do, if a class seems to need more challenge, I might take any of the other locks and attach it on here and leave it out. Sometimes I weight it down with something heavy. It's not going to mess up the integrity of the breakout, so students get the lock off and they open it up and find something ridiculous in there that doesn't match anything that's going on. It's a little bit of a decoy. You can or don't have to use it. Again, it's up to you and what you would like to do with your students. And then a great way to finish all breakouts is to do a reflection. At the end of every lesson, you will find reflection and conclusion questions. These questions are really, really easy to add to the provided reflection cards that will be in your kit. On the cards, there are SEL style questions that talk to the students about how were you a great group member? What did you do to collaborate? What was successful with your group? What could you do better next time? You can also take the reflection and conclusion questions from the lessons and add them onto the cards yourself and give them to different groups or give them to all students to have them provide their knowledge. They're really nice and super handy, also reusable. If you unfortunately don't have a physical breakout box in your classroom, all of our breakout box lessons are also available in a digital format at kansascornstem.com. This has been Wondering About Water, provided by Kansas Corn STEM.